Whoa, Stanley. Whoa. Stanley, no. Come on. No. Sit. Good morning. Stanley's tail is wagging because he's been in a cage for the last, 45 minutes or so. I had to take Lucy to get groomed. And so I put him in the cage just because I didn't want to have to deal with him. When I was trying to get her in the car, and I still don't trust him yet. He hasn't spent any time alone in the house outside of the cage. So maybe when I go get Lucy, I'll let him, because they'll be gone. But he could destroy a whole couch in that little time. So I don't know, maybe I'm not ready to try it. We'll see. But he's very affectionate now, thinking he's been punished or something. Or why did Lucy get to go without me? She's getting her hair cut. You could probably do with a haircut too, but maybe not. It's so bad. Anyway. So, that's been my morning. Rode for 50 minutes. I'm a little worried because I started out, 20 minutes was enough, and then I increased it to, after a while, 25 to 30, and then all of a sudden I started doing 40 to 45, and now I'm doing about 50 minutes. Like, I'm going to have to start getting up even earlier. I'm really going to continue doing 50 minutes. But I'm getting a lot of meters in. I'm feeling good. And so, anyway. And I got second, if you've been watching this, I got second in that challenge this week. The guy who beat me, I don't remember, he had like 2 hours more than me rowing. It's like, okay. He rows a lot, but I beat everybody else by a lot. So I don't know if they're just lazy or what. So easy to be judgmental with it anyway. And I don't know, one of these people I'm friends with, quote, end quote friends, I know nothing about this person. A few people, they just started this, I guess they're trying to build a social network kind of thing. And they just started this, you can friend people, and people ask me to be their friend, so I'm their friend. But I'm not sure if I'm friends with the same people. I have like 6 or 7 friends. I haven't friended anybody because I'm just kind of not very nice. But I've accepted some friendship invitations, of course, and this month I'm number 1 in all my friends as far as how much I've rowed. There's another guy who I think he must be on vacation, kind of like I took a week on vacation. I think he must be on vacation because he hasn't rowed in a few days. He usually rows quite a bit, and so it'll be interesting. He might be able to catch up with me if he gets back and starts rowing. Though if he doesn't, I'm getting further and further ahead of him, so I don't know. Or is it farther and farther? I never know. One of those words that we get wrong a lot. Okay, Stanley. You don't want me to put you outside of the room, do you? Bless your heart. Bless your poor little pea-picking heart, as Tennessee Ernie Ford used to say. Okay, I'm going to put you out of the room. Good boy. You would think I would have been gone for days the way he's just clinging to me right now. He's so excited to see me. I guess I'm somebody worth being excited about. For a dog, anyway. Dog. I was just thinking this morning, dogs, they're so loving, but they love everybody. I don't think that they think anything special about me, except I feed them and they know me the best. But I wonder how long it would be before they would just feel the same way about somebody else. Probably not very long. Here's our reading for Saturday of week 13. In Christ passages in John's Gospel. We now turn to John's Gospel, and unlike the Synoptics, which do not mention being in Christ at all, we find that the equivalent of being in Christ mentioned 16 times. This is what we would expect, for John's Gospel, being written later, would reflect the general conception of being in Christ, which took the place of being with Christ. The Christians found they were in Christ. They had moved from the with to the in. John reflects that transition. This is important, for it shows that this being in Christ was not just Pauline, It was Christian. It was inherent. It was not invented by Paul and imposed on Christianity. It was something exposed out of its very nature. John was saturated with it. The first passage, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. Nothing could be more penetrating and more important than this. In him was life, for not life or death. And that is exactly the alternative presented. In Christ, you are in life. Out of Christ, you are in not life. You're in death. This is not arbitrarily imposed on life by the edict of God. It is just a fact. Those in Christ have life, have it now, and will have it hereafter. And those not in Christ do not have life. They do not have it now, and will not have it hereafter. Nothing, absolutely nothing more important could be said than what I have just said, provided it is fact. If it is fiction, it doesn't matter. If it is fiction, it will prove to be an ignis fatuus, a false fire, leading us into swamps of despair and disillusionment. If it is fact, however, it becomes the light of the world. Not to have it is to stumble into deepening gloom. To have it is to have a light which leads to the perfect day. The more important thing is that this vast experiment we are making with this thing called life is working out just that way. I was going to say something about John. I think he's probably going to spend some time in John because there's 15 passages in him and him and him. Anyway, yesterday in the Synoptics, it talked about, not being in Christ or with Christ in the Synoptics until, Pentecost, which of course happened after the Gospels. But in John, Pentecost happens on the day of Christ's resurrection. When Jesus breathes the Spirit, it says, onto them. There were 10 disciples there, not all of them. Of course, Judas was no longer with them, and Thomas, who would doubt his resurrection, was not with them that first night. And so just the 10 disciples, and Jesus breathed, and my professor, Caroline Lewis, who is a professor of preaching, and she was a New Testament professor, did her dissertation on the Gospel of John. So that the Greek word for breathing on is emphysio, and that's the same word that's in the Greek translations of the book of Genesis. When God created man, Adam, out of the dirt and breathed, emphysioed life through the nostrils of Adam. It's the same word. And so she argues, and I think quite convincingly, especially with the understanding of in Christ, which is Pauline, and really all, and Johannine, is that it's the in Christ in us, the Spirit in us, the indwelling. And the Word become flesh, that when Jesus breathed the Spirit into his disciples, it wasn't just with them, it wasn't just on them, it was in them. Which of course opens up all kinds of possibilities. Here is our prayer for today. O Jesus, Lord and Master, something dies within us when we depart from you, even in thought. Something lives within us when we step into you, even in thought. We live. That awes us. That makes us yearn to be in you every moment so we can live every moment. Amen. And our affirmation for the day, I am made by my very structural makeup to be in Christ. There I am at home. Jesus is Lord.